Hello again, pilots. Today I'm going to show you aerial gunnery techniques in War Thunder on arcade settings. The first thing you need to know is how to hit a moving target. Naturally, airplanes need to be moving in order to fly, and as fast as a bullet is, it still needs time to travel through the air and hit its target. Therefore, if you shoot directly at a moving airplane, the result will always be the rounds flying harmlessly behind it. To compensate for this, the pilot must aim slightly ahead of the aircraft's direction of travel, allowing for the time it takes for the rounds fired to reach their target. The amount of lead required to hit a target will change based on a multitude of variables. These include type of weaponry installed on your aircraft, the speed of your aircraft, the speed of your target, your angle in relation to your target, the flight path of your target, and the distance to the target. In basic practice, a slower aircraft will require much less lead to hit than a faster aircraft, assuming speed, heading, and pitch angle remain constant. The next variable is attack angle. Attacking a target at a high angle will require a large amount of lead, as the relative speed of the target is high. As the attack angle drops, the target speed in relation to your aircraft decreases, requiring less lead. When your attack angle flattens, the target's relative motion will cease, effectively becoming stationary and requiring no lead. Light 'em up. Now we get to apply these theories in combat. When attacking a target from above, your aircraft will be in a nose-down orientation, and any rounds fired will be aimed towards the ground. Gravity will have less of an effect on these rounds, giving them a flatter trajectory. In this situation, aim slightly below the aircraft to land your shots. When attacking an aircraft in level flight, your aircraft will be parallel to the ground, and any rounds fired will be towards the horizon. Gravity will have a moderate effect on these rounds, giving them a shallow arcing trajectory. In this situation, aim directly at or slightly above your target to land your rounds. When attacking a target above you, your aircraft will be in a nose-up orientation, and any rounds fired will be towards the sky. Gravity will have more of an effect on these rounds, giving them an arcing trajectory. In this situation, aim above the aircraft to land your rounds. This is an example of a varying lead angle on multiple targets of different speeds and flight paths. Even when taking attack speed and attack angle into account, the main governing factor is the type of weapon you're using. Rifle caliber machine guns typically have a shorter range than 50 caliber machine guns or 20mm cannons. When operating an aircraft with a mixed weapons load, only the highest caliber weapon will be used to calculate lead. For example, an aircraft with 50 caliber and 30 caliber machine guns. The lead indicator will display the proper lead angle for the 50 caliber guns only. When engaging a target just inside your maximum weapons range, the 30 caliber rounds will fall short of the target. With practice, a pilot can selectively utilize their grouped weapons by adjusting their lead angle. Keep Keep in mind that everything takes practice, but once you get a true feel for your aircraft's weapon systems, you will become a fearsome opponent in air combat. Once you've mastered your aircraft's guns and cannons, you can start experimenting with rockets. Rockets, although extremely difficult to use, are devastating in the hands of a skilled marksman. Rockets, just like machine guns and cannons, require lead to hit the target. However, due to the relatively slow nature of a rocket, the lead required is exponentially greater than a bullet or a cannon shell. When attacking ground targets with rockets, the basic principles of marksmanship still apply, with some variations. Rockets are much heavier than bullets or cannon shells, and are more greatly affected by gravity. The pilot must aim much higher on a target to hit it with a rocket. Another unique aspect of using rockets is that the pilot must know which wing the next rocket will be launched from. Rockets are typically launched left-right, left-right. When firing, be sure to aim slightly opposite of the wing your next rocket will launch from. If your next rocket will launch on the left wing, be sure to aim to the right. Even with all of the training in the world, sometimes it's just better to be lucky. Next, a pilot should know how to properly utilize the bombers at their disposal. First, we'll talk about ground assault aircraft and dive bombers. A good tactic to use with a dive bomber or ground assault aircraft is to slightly overfly your target at medium altitude, then roll over into a dive. This maneuver puts your aircraft facing back towards friendly lines. Once you drop your bombs, level off and lay on the power. Only after you've reached safe skies should you begin to climb and repeat the process. Even bombs, just like bullets and rockets, require lead to hit their target. When bombing, release your bombs slightly ahead of a target on the ground, and, if led properly, the target should be in the kill zone by the time the bomb hits the ground. There is another, lesser-known technique for using dive bombers and ground attack aircraft in a strategic role. However, this method only applies to ground strike missions where forward bases are present. Following the basic guidelines of a level bomber, climb to a safe altitude, approach the enemy base, then enter a shallow dive to bring up the targeting reticle on the ground. Release your ordnance, and then pull back up to gain altitude.
Somebody cover me!
Repeat this as necessary until your target is destroyed. Next, we'll talk about level bombers. High-altitude level bombing is not a particularly difficult task. The trouble comes from lack of friendly fighter support and anti-aircraft artillery controlled by enemy AI. Climb to a sufficient safe altitude, about 18 or 20,000 feet, then switch to your bomb site and drop your bombs. Your accuracy will be affected by flying at such high altitude, but the trade-off in accuracy is more than made up by the relative safety of your lofty perch. But don't be fooled. Even at high altitude, you may be attacked by a rogue aircraft bent on your destruction. Do your best to counter their attack, or dive to lower altitude and back to friendly airspace. A bomber is by no means a helpless truck to haul bombs over the battlefield. Take this A-20 for example. It possesses sufficient maneuverability and defensive firepower, that, when applied effectively, is more than a match for the average fighter. Unfortunately, there will come a time when not even the best defensive weaponry can save you. Do the best you can and inflict as much damage to the enemy before they finally bring you down. Desperate times call for desperate measures. On some very rare occasions, a pilot may be forced to use their aircraft as a battering ram to disable or destroy an enemy. Even in this situation, you will still need to accurately place your round on target, your round being the aircraft itself. Applying these techniques and strategies in combat will allow you to rain fiery destruction on your enemy and secure victory for yourself and your team.